Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy channel. My name is Jed. Thank you for joining me. We had an epic stream yesterday. We streamed for... let me just fix some things in here. We streamed for over 8 hours yesterday. Worth it because we had, we've reached the end of the book that we've been reading, which is a banger. Some are saying the best book ever written. I wouldn't disagree with that. We've got to the end of that book, and we spent some time pulling together the key questions that have yet to be solved by the book. The key puzzles that the book has left us with. There was a key dialectic that was left unfinished. There was some key, fundamentally about the ultimate state of enlightenment. We've come to learn that our spiritual process and progress is understandable. It's not a matter of belief. In fact, if you try and it's out of the realm of belief. Belief cannot apprehend what is true. And of course, if we try and make sense of what is true and what is meaningful through belief, we suffer problems, repeating cycles of problems and suffering. Is that light doing its thing? Yep, it's doing its thing. Which means it's singular. Truth is singular. Truth isn't a matter of opinion or belief. No need for conflict, no need for war, and no need for confusion. Isn't that neat that we can understand the purpose of life, the meaning of life, the stages of development that we go through as we reach that meaning, and of course, how do we solve and how problems are solved along the way? Isn't that wonderful? And in that vein, we have understood that, by the way, one way you could put that, demystifying the mystical. As Socrates says in the book that we've been reading, many people carry a staff claiming to be a mystic, but the only true mystics are philosophers. That is, somebody who, another name for a philosopher, philodianoia. Philodianoia. In fact, philodianoia might be an upgrade to philosophy. Philosophy being philos sophia, the love of wisdom. But as we've been learning, in order to reach wisdom, you need understanding. Dianoia, a special class of understanding where you're not understanding physical things, you're understanding the cause of physical things. You're understanding the mind and the self. Now, having an experience is not wisdom. The tragedy is, that people who've had an experience of knowing, the penultimate or second last of the two kinds of enlightenment experiences, they might, if they fail to develop understanding, dianoia, about that experience, they'll make sense of it with their beliefs. They'll think they've reached the end of their development. They'll start their own cults or groups, and they will become further entrenched in the very beliefs that they are here to address and remove. That, of course, is the story of Jesus. Identifying with his Jewish religious beliefs and family tradition. I am it. I am the next coming. Many people think I am the next Jesus. I had this glimpse of a light experience or a non-physical experience. Jesus' case, I am the next Elijah. So what's required to reach that experience, dianoia, understanding. What's necessary to apply to that experience, dianoia, understanding. What's required to reflect on those very beliefs that block the greater participation in that experience, again, dianoia, understanding. And finally, what do you need to reflect on that experience in such a way where you can see the necessity for it having a cause that is prior, superior, and independent, such that you can walk through or travel through that experience From the penultimate to the ultimate state of enlightenment, yes, you guessed it, it's understanding. Therefore, philodianoia, the love of understanding, is greater than philosophy. In principle. So isn't that neat? We can understand and we don't have to guess, believe other people, hope and pray, all that kind of stuff. And of course, as understanding is open to everyone, it's transpersonal. Truth is beyond the personal. It's true for everyone. No need for conflict or division. In fact, we could recognize that the way that we should be relating is trying our best to communicate our highest vision with our friends in order to test our own level of understanding. If we're here to perfect our understanding and purify our blocks, then that could be what we're here to do when we relate to people. Not debate your beliefs, but test your understanding in your ability to communicate your highest level of vision based on our understanding of the different classes of development, the different stages of development, which are also objects of understanding. Benefiting the person you're talking to. That's the dialectic, by the way, step-by-step conversation in a friendly manner to be able to test your understanding and your ability to communicate your understanding to someone else, and them also testing their ability to participate in that understanding. The meaning of life for a species, for an intelligent, rational species. How we should be arranging and organizing ourselves to facilitate that. Now, of course, that would be the art of dialectic. It's a skill, the skill of communicating that understanding you're testing, the dialectic. The structure of that understanding, the dialectic. The structure of reality, the dialectic. Therefore, by ourselves participating in the dialectic as we structure our thought, we structure how we read the books that we read, how we structure our conversations, we are aligning ourselves to the inherent intelligibility of reality itself. We are aligning ourselves to the self-logos. And as everything, as it is the model of all intelligible systems, conversation, reading these kinds of intelligible books, music, mathematics, it's something you can do at all times. Therefore, it's something you can unify your soul's effort, your self's effort, your attention, your focus on a single activity that you can do at all times, contemplation. What we have discovered is you're kind of doing that anyway, only the thing that you're contemplating is an unsuspected false image of yourself at all times. Everything you do so because you think it's good. Oh, where did you learn the good? Oh, you didn't. You're carrying a false image of the good. Oh. By the way, when you plan on how to reach that good thing, get that good sandwich, you have to plan not how Tom Cruise gets a good sandwich. That would be very different than how you get a sandwich. So you have to use an image of yourself in your imagination, in your planning. What is good for that person that you desire? How can that person outwardly reach that goal? And what is the goal worth seeking? So our good that we desire, the truth that we seek outwardly, and our planning or reasoning for how to decide what goal is worth doing and how to reach that goal, that's the triad. Desire, inwardly, outward moving, and reasoning, or seeking the good, seeking the true, and seeking the one, or reality. So, everything that you think, either when you're actively planning, or when you're daydreaming, or being distracted, or fantasizing, or even dreaming, is therefore a focus and contemplation on a false image of yourself that you don't even know you have, you just think is real. But what we're discovering is that's why you've been reincarnated. That false image of yourself and reality that blocks your participation in dianoia understanding also blocked your, that's what we test, by the way, if the way we should organize our life is to create the conditions for sharing our understanding on our highest vision, because it tests not only your understanding, but that activity surfaces our blocks. Because our blocks, pathologos, block the logos or dianoia, understanding. So it's a win-win. Perfect your excellence and surface your blocks that you're here to remove. But so it's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win.
We play that noise.
It's a win-win.
That's what I'm saying. What we've also been learning from the book is that's that very problem that we learn in childhood from parental figures that we were dependent on, and they therefore get to play king priest of the house. That very image that we learn in childhood that directed the time and the family and the place and the species, perhaps, of our reincarnation, not only blocks your participation in dialectic or dianoia or following the logos, it also prevented your full participation in mind between lifetimes and your ability to go through that mind by recognizing it's a reflection of self to a higher state of development, the self. So in other words, our spiritual development has been blocked as a soul, causing our reincarnation in a certain way where we pick up a problem that is intelligible, just as our growth and our the spiritual process is understandable, graspable, or intelligible, so too are our problems. Not only are they intelligible, they're solvable, and you must have the problem that you have. These are all things we've learned from this amazing book. So the book leaves us with a puzzle, because Socrates is encouraging Jesus to participate in that very dialectic conversation, participation in understanding, to reflect on his highest vision and his understanding of his highest vision, and wonder about that very cause, or to make that transition from the penultimate to the ultimate state of enlightenment, from the first to the last, number 2 to number 1. Jesus was of course blocked, and then we understand why, because he did not participate in philosophical midwifery, the name for the use of the dialectic to surface those blocks that prevent our development of understanding. That's what they block. They block your development. What's our development? Following the logos, perfecting the art of dialectic. Didn't do that, just got right into his beliefs. Need to drink some coffee. So, and also right before having in the book that we've been reading, right before asking him questions about what might be the cause of what he thinks is heaven, he thinks is enlightenment. Socrates says something in general. He says, hey, by the way, have you ever noticed that when people have a glimpse of this experience of being or mind, they think it's it? They think it's the end? And they often start a group or give their own teachings on how to reach that state. Why is that? Well, because they can't imagine a greater experience. it changes their life. And as a result, it can be very difficult for them to hear that what they think is it ain't it. What they think is the end, the conclusion, isn't it. Isn't the conclusion, isn't the end. It can be very difficult. Therefore, you need two things. You need to be able to endure a question asked by a dialectician or anyone, like Socrates, about cause and effect, a principle of reality. The cause must be prior, superior, and independent to its effect. Every experience has a cause. Therefore, even that experience must have a cause that is prior, superior, and independent. That is difficult to endure. But thankfully, this book has given us the material to understand and develop a map of understanding the different ways human beings respond to what is difficult to endure. When challenged in a new way, either yourself with your own understanding or insight, or by someone else, you go through 5 stages of interpretation. From rejecting the new, offering your own dear beliefs, taking a piece of the new, accepting the new but trying to keep the old as well, unify the two, to ultimately just accepting what is true and new. So while it's difficult to endure, Socrates gave us what we need to understand why it's difficult for people to reflect on their highest idea of reality, and how to understand the stages of conflict people go through as they move from interpretation to understanding, from belief to dianoia. So it is a struggle, but we can anticipate that struggle, which is important because we will go through it. We don't want to think we are no good because we're going through struggles, or beat ourselves up, or give up. But also, as we've been saying, the whole point is to share our understanding and vision with others in conversations about what is true, what is real, what is just, what is beautiful. The self-logos ideas, eidos. Not concepts, because they're real. They're not abstractions. So, it's important for us to anticipate and recognize these counterattacks or objections or interpretations to truth. And that's what we've been seeing. It's not just about truth, it's also humanness. Truth and humanness. We need both as a dialectician. Or to be Hellenic, to be a rational human being. Now, what we also recognize, have learned is, hey, by the way, our false beliefs that are the cause of our problems is equally has a cause that we think is our highest idea of beauty, justice, reality. However, what we don't realize is, until we talk to people like us or read this kind of a book, it was the appearance of beauty or justice or strength or love or knowingness. It was the appearance from parental figures when we were too young to know better, and it was perhaps too dangerous to ask questions at the time. So we take the blame for their injustice, and that's the cause which is itself an injustice. And we carry that false image of beauty, of justice, causing the sorts of people we're attracted to, be they relationship partners or political tyrants or religious figures. Oh, they're real. They're beautiful. They know what they're talking about. Therefore, in a similar way, just as it was difficult for Jesus to reflect on the cause of his peak experience of actual beauty or reality, so too every human being, when asked questions about their images of their parental figures they think is also real, is also beauty, will also have a difficult time that we can expect. And that includes you. So, as we go through our stages of development spiritually, we have to recognize we will also have that counterattack, where we try and hold dear to our images of beauty and reality and our earliest teachers. What are we doing? We're understanding all of the stages that an intelligent being will go through on the enlightenment journey, including that counterattack. Now, in the book, Jesus faced his counterattack before being able to reflect on the cause of that peak experience. So Socrates said, hey, by the way, some people find it difficult to endure questions about a higher cause. Now, if they are able to endure such a question, they need a second idea to make progress. That is, something that requires a high level of intelligence to accept without rejecting, as above, so below, the principle of likeness. Now, Jesus went through his counterattack. Understandable. And we have understood that. We looked at the way he counterattacked, which means we have an unresolved puzzle. What would happen if we were able to finish that dialectic? For us, therefore, the cause must be prior, superior, independent, but also be like its effect. So the ultimate state of enlightenment, the state of self, the true state of self, is like the experience of mind knowing itself in that peak experience. So the ultimate state of enlightenment is like the penultimate, but again, greater and different. Likeness. So this has helped us. This is our understanding of the human condition and our purpose to follow the self-logos through dialectic or dianoia to the truth of self, going through that peak state of mind, but also recognizing every step of the way we have interpretations or counterattacks, because our job isn't just to follow the self-logos, but purify the pathologos, the false, sick belief about the self. That understanding, along with that unresolved dialectic we are carrying, what is the state beyond that peak experience? And how is it different, but like it? We're taking all of this and adding it to the ox-herding pictures of Buddhism. Because here's our boy. While understanding of this text has given us a map of the cognitive functions or the ways of thinking that we progress through, 5 of them: image thinking, belief, dianoia, the peak experience of mind and the self, each having their own object. Beliefs and image thinking are about the physical world. Understanding and knowing, or nous in the Greek, is about the eternal mind, that we personify the aspects of as the gods. And the knowing of the self, wow, what's that about? What's its object? Self. Transcendent, independent, but causal of everything that has unfolded. Well, this gives us the map of all of the different states of mind or levels of development we go through, and for every one of them, there is a potential opposition, giving us the 5 classes of pathologos, or fundamental false beliefs that people carry, categories of false beliefs that people carry that block their development. And it has given us the 5 levels of interpretation we go through, from rejecting the new to keep the old, to accepting the new and getting rid of the old, becoming ultimately non-interpretive, seeing reality as it is, becoming an exponent of a living philosophical tradition, participating in dialogues all the time, compared to the opposition of that, to be loyal, fundamental, be a loyalist to your own fundamental unsuspected false beliefs. That's our problem, pathologos. Therefore, there's our goal, and there's our, well, to purify that, and to purify our false and perfect the true. That's the goal. So while we have 5, and you could have 5 oppositions to those rejections. So the 5 kinds of interpretations, 5 states of cognitive functions. We needed to put them together because while that gives us what is true, we need to understand how it applies to a human going through that cognitive development, leading us to the oxherding pictures, which are 2 states with a picture, a poem, and a description, outlining the 2 stages of ignorance. Lots of balloons. Seeking the ox, finding the tracks, not really seeking the ox, being lost and confused and seeking physical pleasures, greed for worldly gain, debate perverts, using your ideas of right and wrong to defend and attack.
Debate dweeb.
Being a debate dweeb. That's the seeking of the ox, the first stage of ignorance. The second, you've been reading along with us and you've discovered that there might be an understandable reality. Our problems and our excellence might be understandable. That's the tracks of mind, or the self-logos. The 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 6 stages of enlightenment beyond those 2 stages of ignorance. Your first glimpse, that's where Jesus is. Trying to align your own mind to what you've just experienced. But because of this experience, what comes to light is your false beliefs and habits and tendencies. What you just thought was normal, now you have a reference to see, oh no, that was just my prejudices and beliefs and habits, and I want to take that ox or mind and tame it. I have been a slave to my false beliefs and habits of mind and being. A zombie. I've been a savage. I've been a primitive, because we can trace this dear allegiance to false beliefs from our family clan and blind loyalty to our tribe leader. We can trace that back to our earliest evolution as cavemen. So primitive. Savage because we fight against our own interests in terrible ways. We fight the best people, the ones that speak the truth, like a savage. We're on an NPC script, stuck in a script, repeating the same problems over and over again. And we're only limited to a small amount of participation in logos and a small amount of participation in self-reflection, like a zombie. Enough to say brains and not much else. The realization of that nature and facing the counterattacks from that nature as you try and align your mind to your glimpse, that's stage 2 of enlightenment. Now, it seems Jesus never reached stage 2. He had a glimpse and that was it for him. And then lived out the tragic implications of his false beliefs. So what can we learn about this? Even after an enlightenment experience, stay in the game. What was number 2? Reading. Keep reading. Keep reflecting. Keep learning about the self. Keep reading these texts that are intelligible that we read about the self and the logos. But we can expect that counterattack, our mind trying to go back to its old habits, stubborn and unbridled, your unhealthy tendencies, your old muddy haunts. And as Jesus fights back against Socrates at the end of this dialogue, when Socrates encouraged him to reflect on his glimpse, what we might have first thought as, well, he's in his problem. Look at him in his block state, trying to take over the conversation when he shouldn't. He should be following. Forgetting everything he learned about the true nature of theology, a metaphorical personification of these very principles, not literal, you idiot. Forgetting everything he learned about understanding and beliefs being bad, and going straight back into beliefs, to getting everything he learned about the pathologos. It's a loyalty to a family tribe. Our family beliefs are special. And Jesus said to Socrates, we will never come together because we have different beliefs. And I'm from a special family, and my family is special and chosen, and you're a different family, and we can never come to all of that stuff. We scoffed at him, that he's clearly in his problem. But the fact he was staying in this conversation, or if after that counterattack he keeps going, he keeps talking to Socrates, he tries his best to get better, then what we first thought of as just a problem might be an advanced state of enlightenment. Hey, in Jesus' life, did he ever have this kind of conversation with anyone? Not as far as we know. There was no one around with this level of understanding to ask him the sort of questions he needs to be asked. So he stays in the third, takes the glimpse for enlightenment, venerates his old beliefs, never challenges them. So the fact that in heaven he's able to talk to a dialectician, a Hellenic man like us, like Socrates, perhaps is a state that he hadn't reached in his everyday life. And while it's negative, while it's stubborn and unbridled, while his mind has a will that is great and a power that's inexhaustible, that might be a new stage for him. So long as he tightly grasps the rope, stays in the relationship with a dialectician. What's the rope that tames the mind? A dianoia or dialectic. Midwifery, dialectic, dream analysis. Those are the three. Now, whether or not he does stay in that relationship is up to you, because that's where the book ends. Socrates encouraging you to write the sequel, Socrates and Jesus, A Dream Talk in Heaven. Turning on the fan. Fan is on. So, stage 4, the counterattack, the fighting back. But staying in a relationship, doing your best, recognizing this is important as you are if you have someone to talk to, if you find someone with a good heart and good mind and good head, that also seeks their excellence or the removal of problems. Recognize this is a stage. Stay in the relationship. Keep going. Don't give up. That's why we have principles of midwifery. As you practice, as you develop, you will find your blocks coming up. Recognize that they are intelligible. As you have difficulties going through dream analysis, midwifery, or this reading, or even writing the sequel of this book, as you go through those difficulties, or you face them in the relationships with other good people, Hellenic people, that's the definition of good people, it seems. Well, it is. Recognize that your problems are gold. They are nuggets of gold to be mined. Write them down. But it feels real. I know it feels real. Otherwise, it wouldn't be much of a problem. That's the unbridled ox. It feels like you really did say this. No, but we wrote it down. Look, it's not on the paper. That's why we write when we talk. And if you've got a whiteboard or a projector, any of those debates that we see with people on YouTube that aren't writing down every point on the projector so we have a mean term where we can both look at is stupid. Because then some fascists can say, well, actually, I didn't say that, or actually, the facts are not that. This study from Monsanto says that poisoning children is good, actually. Bullshit. You need to have a mean term. That's why we read. Everyone can focus on the same text that is intelligible. If you're having a debate with something, you shouldn't be debating, you should be a dialectic. As you're having a dialectic with someone, have the material. If it's a political thing on whether or not we should poison children for profit, have the study there. And if you're talking to someone, everything they say, write it up on the blackboard or the whiteboard. Or in your relationship, take notes. I know it feels real. That's the ox, that's the unbridled ox. What did it feel like? Describe the state of mind. Use similes, use metaphors, use imagery. That's using your imagination or ousia. What words came up? That's the two things we have. Mind or imagination or ousia, and words, logos, understanding. What words came up? You'll start, and after you collect enough of this, you've got enough gold nuggets, you can put it together into a gold bar. You can recognize repeating themes, certain idiosyncratic words. Now, because they are your idiosyncratic words, your weird words that you're used to using, they won't stand out to you, but that's why we talk to people. That's why we have dialecticians. We can't see our blind spots, but someone else can. And recognize, while it feels like you're stuck, while it feels like the relationship should end, while it feels like there's no way forward, your problems are solvable. And even that feeling is itself part of the problem, the way in which you give up. We can't solve this because men stink. We can't solve this because I'm too stupid. Write that down too. That's part of it. And we recognize this in midwifery. Being a midwife or doing a dream talk with someone, it's likely you will face your own blocks. When that happens, don't end the relationship when the other person goes, oh, I think this might be a block you're having. I've said this thing a couple of times. Or you're not listening to my words. Or you're not letting me speak. And believe me, well, don't believe me, I'm telling you, I've experienced all of that shit. Even the greatest dialecticians and midwives, even the most experienced, even the most well-meaning, it always happens. You have to be able to be open and curious when they say, hey, listen, you keep missing a word that I say, or you keep projecting something that isn't there. I didn't say that, but you keep adding it in. To miss what I'm saying or to add what isn't there, that's interpretation. That's why we are partners. That's why it's a debate, not a debate. It's not competition. All of the ills in our society could be traced to competition. Whether it's competing for which religion wins, or which individual becomes a billionaire, and which gets starved to death, which gets to be the slave owner, which gets to be the slave. Our life, run by the most ignorant people in the first ox-herding picture, has organized everything like it's a cutthroat fucking competition when we're all here to live. That's the insanity of capitalism. That's the insanity of beliefs, religion, and conservatism. But recognize it's solvable, and those problems you are getting because you need to get them now. That it is providence. And that's the second half of it. Not just exploring ideas about truth, but exploring ideas about the false image of truth that you are pretending or you're taking as true, you think is true. It's a perfection and purification. It's both together. If you do that, and you start to see that what I just said was true, or what we just read from the book from Socrates is true, and you start to see that even your thoughts that you can't solve this problem or you have to end this relationship is itself another clue about your block. And as you start to put it together and not just understand that even your problems are solvable, but start to experience the overcoming of those blocks you thought you would always be in, when you start to see that intelligibility and have some success, congratulations, you're in the third state of enlightenment. Stage 5. Third stage of enlightenment, fifth ox-herding picture. Taming the bull. The rising of one thought, with the rising of one thought, another is born. Enlightenment, this third stage of enlightenment, brings the realization that thoughts are not unreal, since even they arise from our true nature. It is only because delusion remains, the pathologos remains, that they are imagined to be unreal. So, even when you say you can't understand problems, we can't solve this conflict, that delusion, or that is the delusion. It's not recognizing the what it says real here, but for us, intelligibility. Not seeing the intelligibility is the delusion. And by the way, this delusion you are carrying with you in your minds. It's not in the objective world. That's what we're reading. With the rising of one thought after another, another is born. Enlightenment brings the realization that such thoughts are not unreal, since they arise from our true nature. It is only because delusion still remains that they are imagined to be unreal. This state of delusion does not originate in the objective world, but in our own minds. He must hold the nose rope tightly. What are we saying is the nose rope? These sorts of conversations that our whole life is supposed to be about. What is it? Sharing your understanding with people, to test your ability to understand your vision and communicate it through the dialectic. That's it, that's the game. That's what it means to be human. Be rational. And as we're seeing, doing so not only perfects your understanding and vision, allows you to contemplate on the idea you're talking about, which is itself the yoga or meditation, the spiritual method. It also surfaces the meditation that you've been doing unknowingly as the zombie. That's the fourth ox-herding picture, counterattack, but addressable here. So therefore, what's the message? If you are not holding true to these relationships and these discussions and dialogues, trying your best to record and reflect on your dreams with people like this, trying to establish relationships with people who are also lovers of understanding, philodainoia, then you're not yet in the fifth ox-herding picture. If you are, you're holding on to this, you're doing your best with these people, you keep moving forward, that's holding the nose rope tightly. So that's the fifth. Hold the nose rope tightly and do not allow the ox to roam, lest off to muddy haunts it should stray. Properly tended, it becomes clean and gentle. This is true education. Education shouldn't just be about repetition and rote and memorization for some test so you can become a worker bee in some cog of ignorance. It should change your state of being. Your state of being or mind should become cleaner and gentler. If your education system does not involve ox-herding picture 5, it isn't real education. Is something we will all realize if the true race of man emerges from our state of ignorance, the Hellenic man. So, staying in it, doing your best, focusing on the good things, recognizing the intelligibility behind the problems, holding true to this relationship, and finding success. Congratulations, you've reached the third stage of enlightenment. Now, from that kind of relationship that you've been holding on to and developing and sharing your understanding, both about your highest vision and about your blocks, you start to realize, hey, you have to switch roles, as we've been saying. Sometimes you're the pregnant party, sometimes you're the person sharing the idea or leading the midwifery talk or leading the dream talk. Because you're in this third stage of enlightenment, taming the ox, you can develop a mastery of the art of humanity, the Hellenic art. What do humans have? Ousia and logos, the capacity for self-reflection and the capacity for language understanding or logos. Those two things, ousia and logos. What we're seeing is it's a skill. Only if you're reaching your excellence can you perfect it. You can live your life as a religious, whatever, Mormon gooner.
Gooner bait.
With magic underpants.
Damn, you really are a gooner.
And there really are gooners. You can live your life as a MAGA. You can live your life as a Nazi. You can live your life without in the mediocrity of ignorance. And never realizing what makes you an intelligent, rational being is actually a skill that you're here to develop. What's the skill that brings self-reflection and logos together? The dialectic. How do you perfect it? Practice. In doing so, you are bringing into your soul, like a training, like an athlete, the virtues. The courage to follow the logos, even when your problems feel more true. The temperance to keep your cools because you anticipate these ups and downs. You even understand that they are necessarily part of every stage. You go through the ups and downs of the interpretations and counterattacks. Temperance. Reading these books to gain the understanding of the self-logos. Wisdom. Such that you can use them in these dialectics. And retain whatever high states that you have. Whatever glimpse you had in the third, you can retain. Doing it at all times, justice. Those are the 4 virtues that Socrates talks about in the Republic that you train into your soul. And as you start to do that, as you continue to do that, your skill you gain mastery of. What does mastery mean? When you can use that skill enough to benefit anyone. That's mastery. Maybe you're not at Socrates' level to talk to someone like Jesus, but you can talk to your friend or your partner, or someone who shows an interest in what you create, if you're a musician or a streamer or whatever you are. Mastery. Hey, mastery means the level of skill of an intelligible art. This is the intelligible art, the standard, the archetype of all others, like math and music. Mastery of the skill used to benefit the subject, that's the definition of art we've been talking about. When you use that skill or art to benefit people, congratulations, you're in enlightenment stage 4. Riding the bull home. Why home? As we read in the text, let's read it one more time. Oops, it's already up there. This is a big part of the text, so it's worth seeing in the book. Here we go. Speaking of a bull, like a cow that trips over, you will utterly fail. That's the joke I always make, because I'm very funny.
These are goons, these gooners.
Hey, I'm not a gooner for making that joke.
Die mad about it, bitch.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. Unless you include in your study the dialectic, which is the power of the logos, it's the art, the human art, the rational art, you will utterly fail to achieve the passage from the brilliant light of being to the good itself. And by the way, you can personify that idea with Hermes, the god of the dialectic. Oh, and how does Hermes come about? Oh, you know those sutras you've been reading? Those books we've been reading together? In the second oxiding picture? Second of the 2 stages of ignorance? Oh, that's called Apollo, by the way. Oh, and you can't really read about this unless you say that beauty exists and has a vast power. Otherwise, if everything's just a matter of opinion, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, why would you read about beauty itself? And what you're reading should affect you and inspire you and actually make changes to your life. So long as you're reflecting on your reading and putting the pieces together as a whole and applying it to your life. Oh, all of those ideas you can bring together as Aphrodite. So if you're reading these things together, oh, and you know what else is worth reading? Your dreams. Oh, and your problems. So those are the 3. The texts, your blocks, and your dreams, which address both. And you're reflecting on them to put the pieces together. Aphrodite and Apollo, they reach Hermes, which is the ideal art of the human being, which is itself an example of the ideal relationship. There's you, Apollo, your beloved Aphrodite, and a shared goal that you both focus on. Otherwise, you'll just be trying to force your own pathologos onto the other person in the relationship. So there's the ideal relationship too, a triad. So therefore, you won't be able to reach the good itself or the good self or one self or true self without the dialectic, so we can understand what is meant by riding the bull home. The voice of my flute intones through the evening, measuring with hand beats the pulsating harmony. Oh, what's the god of harmony? Yeah, it's Apollo. I direct the endless rhythm. Whoever hears this melody will join me. Riding the ox home. The struggle is over. Gain and loss no longer affect him. So I suppose when you've reached a level of mastery in this art, because of your practice, reaching the third enlightenment state, taming the ox. What else would you be doing? If this is the thing that actually benefits you, you interested in manipulating people through their beliefs to extract profit so you can get an extra yacht or an extra Bugatti? Or that kind of gain and loss might not affect you anymore. Humming the rustic tune of the woodsman and playing the simple songs of the village children astride the minds, using the mind astride the ox's back. He gazes serenely at the clouds above. What do we focus on in the dialectic? Drama, gossip, manipulation, like everybody else? Nope. Remember, dianoia is not about physical things, it's about mind. His head does not turn in the direction of temptations. Try though one may to upset him, he remains undisturbed. Having gone through 4 and 5 in your activity of midwifery and dream analysis, you're starting to see through your problems. They're not interesting to you anymore. They bore you. You've seen how that movie ends. And you recognize that every person, if they're not meeting you with an open curiosity about something intelligible, something reflecting the harmony of reality, understanding problems, music, mathematics, or this kind of reading, if they're not meeting you in that spirit, they're doing nothing other than inviting you to their fucking bullshit. Here is my Pathologos bullshit that I've played since I was a kid. It's all I know. I'm an NPC, savage, zombie, primitive, and that's what I think is good. All I'm looking for is a partner to play this game. And if we can play it sexually, then I might even marry you. If not, then we'll be drinking buddies at the bar or whatever the hell. Once you've gained a mastery of dialectic, it becomes obvious. The temptations of others to draw you into their images and the drama associated with their images, so they can do nothing other but play their parental role because they haven't reflected on it, and they still think that this kind of injustice that I'm angry about because I suffered that injustice, this anger that I carry with my life and I project on others, I want an opportunity to do to someone else. The hurt person hurts people. This is understanding why. We are hurt because we suffered an injustice at that age. We hurt people because we haven't addressed it and we still think it's good and real and true. That's the sadism of the capitalist conservatives and religious people who seek to play out that injustice with the power they seek in the physical world. Which is why Socrates mentioned, hey, why would you spend your life appealing to those temptations and images and bullshit just so you can become king ruler of all the dead who lay here in ignorance? That recognition comes with someone who has developed a mastery of the dialectic through your practice with your friends. Therefore, someone invites you to their bullshit, doesn't turn your head. Boring. That old insult. Yeah, right. Come up with something more creative. Have you noticed that all you people say the same sort of thing? The empty phrases that you repeat from the book, from Socrates. It's boring. Doesn't turn my head. Hey, you're very good at repeating the bullshit from your tribe. What about thinking for yourself? Does not turn his head in the distraction of temptations. Try though one may to upset him, he remains undisturbed. So, the trolls? All I can do is say no, philosophy is bad, no. No, the left is bad, no. Liberal tears, MAGA number 1. Boring. My gaze is on reality. Hey, you think you're here, you think that whatever time you have here, while you're healthy and alive, you should spend focused on some physical thing? Why? Think Trump comes with you when you die? But if you focus on what is eternal, that could help your development in your transition. beyond this physical lifetime, which will have an end. Riding free as air, he buoyantly comes home to the source, even through evening mists in a wide straw hat and cape. So you might notice I promised that I would have straw hat in my thumbnails, but I realized that I always have straw hat Luffy, so I added Shanks, also wearing the same straw hat.
The T-Virus will transform me into an epic creation.
And so will this straw hat riding the ox home. So this stage of enlightenment number 4 that we can symbolize with the straw hat. Oh, that was just no.
There's a UFO with Jesus in there.
There you go. It's a UFO with Jesus. That makes more sense than what I just said.
That's weird that you think that.
I know. Riding free as air, he buoyantly comes home through evening mists in wide straw hat. Oh, by the way, you might notice, I was going to say at the start and I forgot. I fixed the audio. The audio was a bit muffled and the music was a bit loud. So I spent some time fixing the audio and I think it's nice now. A bit more legible and the music is a bit quieter. And the sound effects aren't as loud. They're at a nice volume.
I'm cute, like it's cutie pie.
So it's about right there. And also, I noticed that when I changed scenes, I'd have my background music playing at the same time in both scenes in the fade. So when I go from here to here, the media player from the first scene, as it fades in, kept playing with the new one, so it like doubled in volume. So I kept spiking, but I think I fixed that. I found a way of fixing that. I'm just remembering, I didn't test it, so if it's still getting loud between scenes, I will fix that next time. But yeah, pretty funny that we did an 8-hour stream and it was kind of hard to hear. But I did fix the audio and the legibility in the YouTube video. So if you haven't seen yesterday's episode where we put all this together, all of this that we're summarizing, and more, it was an epic one. Check out the YouTube rather than the Twitch. What? Oh. Check out the YouTube rather than the Twitch vlog. The Twitch vlogs only stay up for a week anyway. The YouTube, it's episode 186. Oh my goodness. The final 5 enlightenment stages, and the ultimate is beyond Parmenides? ? And on the thumbnail, there's a picture of Shanks and Pyramid Head and Luffy and Oracle, and just a person that symbolizes regular people. Yeah, just a surrogate for the common person. And Parmenides in the background. So that's 186. All right, yeah, so music should be better now, right?
This is why I love this channel, man.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, on the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
Yeah, me too.
The more holes, the better.
Thanks, Emma. All right, so wherever he may go, wearing his straw hat, singing these songs that direct the endless rhythm of the self-logos through the dialectic, he creates a fresh breeze. Oh. While in his heart profound tranquility prevails. Interesting. Now what's interesting about this? This tranquility is a different quality of high state than what we've had in the third. So we had the third, which was a glimpse. When you realized in an instant, it was a realization. It's a peak experience. You realize all your senses come into from a single sense. That single sense is inherent to reality itself, or the source of reality. So you're seeing the model or paradigm of reality, or that all reality is fundamentally made of mind in some way. That's like the salt in seawater. And the imagery is of a shining sun. The sun shines. So that's a kind of a peak experience. Then we have the difficulty of trying to bring our mind in alignment with that in number 4. Number 5, having some success because you stay in that relationship with dialecticians. Just keep in the game, in the reading, in the dream work, in the midwife talks. Now you're having success in mastery of an art that is changing your state of being. But the high state that you are changing into is different from a shining sun. It's tranquility, giving us a teaser or a taste of what we've been curious about, the last stages. So, what we have a puzzle about is the 2 stages beyond the peak experience that Jesus wasn't able to talk about, that Socrates was encouraging us to talk about. What is the state of self? What's our ultimate enlightenment? What's that first hypothesis of Parmenides? And how is it different than a peak experience? Because it is beyond an experience. Now, we did recognize yesterday that it is a kind of, the language is about purity or clarity, which is very different from bright, shiny bliss. So we've got a clue here. Here in the 6th, when you're functioning ideally in the art, the human art that we're here to master, you can do so whilst also in a high state. What does that mean? Might be difficult to direct the rhythms and have dialectic talks and help people from rustic woodsmen to simple village children when you're in a bliss state. But when you're in a tranquil state, as Pierre Grimes would say, you can have your coffee and drink it too.
Hubba hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
And Emma needs that also for her satisfaction.
Goon, 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 goon.
That's what she's doing.
Gooner.
Okay, thank you. So, a little teaser, a little taste. What is this? A tranquil state of mind? This ox requires not a blade of grass. Now that's the last line. The last line anticipates the future. In the ox owning pictures. This kind of ox doesn't need anything else. It's as though he's self-sufficient or complete or fulfilled in the future. So maybe a clue about a future state in here. The last line of there's 2 different Zen Buddhist guys who do this. This top corner is from a different dude. His last line is, "Whoever hears this journey, this melody will join me." How could that be a clue about a future state? Now, what's interesting about midwifery is, in order to remove your blocks, you have to aim for personally meaningful goals. If your goal is do nothing, then be a follower, then you're not going to surface your blocks to excellence. Therefore, you have to be aiming for your highest intelligible goal if you want to completely remove your problems. In other words, keep going. Just like in After the first state of enlightenment, the glimpse, keep going. You're struggling with your problems in fourth picture, second stage of enlightenment, keep going. So keep going when you start having success. When you start having success, you're just in 5. In order to fully remove your pathologos, you have to go for the highest functioning or participation in logos. Human problems are defined by blocking your participation in the self-logos. They're defined by what blocks or limits or prevents your excellence in the logos. Which is another way of saying it blocks your excellence of the dialectic. So if you are not, so it's not just a matter of being in the 5 and staying in in these midwife talks as a pregnant party. Your goal becomes being a dialectician too. That's your ideal functioning. That's what it means to explore ideas properly. That's your purpose as a Hellenic person. And it's also necessary to surface the entirety of your block. If you're not going for excellence of the pathol of the self-logos, you won't surface the fullness of your pathologos. You'll settle for mediocrity. And cross your fingers that your reincarnation won't be so bad. But you'll have to go through some ignorance and suffering and misery because of the nature of reincarnation having not yet finished your work, it seems. So therefore, it's necessary to go from 5 to 6. Ride the bull. Seek mastery of the dialectic too, as part of our learning. Wait a minute, I think I said something wrong. I need to take a bio break, but I think there was something in there that didn't fit. What did I say? I said, aim for excellence of the self-logos in order to sufficiently surface all your pathologos blocks. That's right. I'll have a think. Be back in a second. So, practicing the art, benefiting yourself and those you talk to in a state of mind of tranquility, focused not on the person's problem or the problems of others, those temptations, but gazing serenely at the clouds above. So what have we been learning about the different cognitive functions? Each of these cognitive functions can be represented within the self-logos pairs, the fundamental Lego pieces of reality and experience and understanding.
Everything you've seen is a whole and a part. It's the same as something, but it's different if it's a thing. It's either unlimited, like 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes on forever, or it's limited, like the shape of a square.
So all of these, we've understood that the 2 stages of ignorance, materialism or strict dualism, there's no connection between mind and body. We are just chemicals. We can't know what happens when you die. You can't know the meaning of life. It's not knowable. We can't know things. That's the disconnection, number 5. It's a line, we can only be parts. We can only be different. We will always be in motion. We'll never find rest. Belief, to identify with the part in conflict or war with the greater. To identify with the lesser. We are this group. We are this chosen tribe. God promised us whatever. In conflict from people who want to universal principles. universal healthcare, universal wealth equality. People who talk about understanding, which is out of time. So that's belief. Identify with the lesser and conflict with the greater. Now, understanding, which seems to be personified in this fourth stage of enlightenment, riding the ox, riding the bull home. Riding the bull home. Yes, riding the ox home. The dialectician. Your state of mind is the greater, while your functioning is providential to the lesser. People who are in time, people who are limited. And that's another hint to our later stage, because, well, if they're people, they're going to be blocked. Otherwise, why are they here? If the game of Mario is you start without the princess, and all of the turtles are uncrushed, all of the turds, perchance. That's the game. You have to go and crush them turds and find the princess. Spammer already.
But you shut up. You shut the hell up for a second. You're not real.
That's you, Spammer. You're not real.
Absolute slop.
You know what? Suck my dick.
Oh my word.
Goon, 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 goon.
So in other words, there are lots of people you can talk to who have a problem if they're open to exploring them. But your state of mind isn't wrapped up in the gossip or the particularities of your problem. Your state of mind is on the whole. Having the state of mind of the whole gives you the model and paradigm for the dialectic and the model of beauty, justice, excellence that you can use to compare, or that you can be using as the comparison to what comes up in the person's problems, to recognize the blocks or the limits. Your understanding of what is unlimited as your state of mind can be useful for recognizing what is limited. So in other words, while you can relate providentially to the dramas of people, it doesn't turn your head. Your head is focused on the whole. Therefore, that first state of enlightenment, the glimpse of the ox, third ox-heading picture, the more that you can have that experience, or the longer that you can be in that experience for, how often you have that experience will benefit your functioning, ideally, as the fourth stage of enlightenment, the dialectician. So, you've taken your glimpse and you're reflecting on it, and you're trying to integrate it as best you can into your state of being, or whatever glimpse, whatever insight you've had, so long as you're open to it. There's no rule that says you have to have an enlightenment experience or psychedelic or yoga experience or near-death experience, any of those many ways of having a glimpse of pure consciousness. There's no rule that says you need to have that before you master the dialectic. Imagination can be enough. We have been using our imagination all the way through reading this. So you've been using that, whatever level you've had of your vision, you've been trying to align yourself to it, going through number 4. You've been having some success and you realize that problems are solvable in principle, and that's our purpose here. That's the greatest thing we can do. That's the 5th ox-herding picture. You've gained mastery of that method of doing so. You're in the 6th, and by even applying it to the highest, most meaningful art, you have done what you need to fully surface and address your problem while functioning as a dialectician or midwife yourself. You have completely freed yourself from your problem. And as we saw at the end of the book we're reading, Jesus saying, in principle, if we can defeat the cause of human problems within the soul of man, what Jesus is misunderstanding as evil, if that is vanquished, if Satan, the pathologos, our problems, was vanquished, would he not come to know that in good overcoming evil, again, we're just using his language, but in the logos overcoming the pathologos, that even the pathologos itself would recognize that it's annihilated and only the logos remains. Or in other words, this is the end of the book. Can what has been thoroughly defeated continue to exist? And Jesus said, well, if the continuous war rages in the soul, then that would mirror the cosmic war. So long as there's conflict within your soul, then problems or Satan or evil will exist. Hang on a second. If evil can only be found, if the cause of if evil is only found in man, in his deeds and thoughts, what if we look for the cause where it springs up? In midwifery, rather than in some war between heaven and earth. With evil having nowhere to play out. No home in the soul of man, where will evil play itself out? And Jesus says, you can't know these things. It's blocked. Truth is silent before the mysteries of man's existence. Socrates says, our mysteries reveal truth, yours conceals it with piety, which is a banger mic drop moment. So what? So, what has been vanquished or what has been thoroughly defeated cannot continue to exist. Having gone through to the even seeking excellence in your functioning as a dialectician or midwife yourself, you have reached the level where you have completely, by staying in the game, doing all of them still, it's cumulative, you're still reading from the second ox, you're still trying to have that glimpse of the third or remembering it, you're still struggling and recognizing your counterattacks in the fourth, you're still having success and looking at and learning more about the intelligibility of problems in 5. But now you're also functioning as a dialectician in 6, meeting all of the conditions to completely solve your problem, and now your problem, poof, gone and gone for good. Congratulations, you have now reached the 5th stage of enlightenment. The bull transcended, or ox forgotten, self alone. I reach home. I am serene. The ox too can rest. Interesting, again, that same language, that language of a high state of, what was it? Tranquil. High state of not bliss, not bright, shiny bliss, but tranquility in your functioning is also the same language of here. When you are free of your pathologos, leaves you in a state of serenity. I reach home. I am serene. The ox too can rest. The dawn has come. The dawn has come. Clouds parted. In blissful repose. Oh, there's a kind of bliss. Different kind of bliss. Within my thatched dwelling, I have abandoned the whip and the rope. Abandon it? Now we're saying they're cumulative. You still talk to people, right? But this is the stage itself. It's not needed. In the Dharma, there is no two-ness. The ox is his primal nature. There is no blocks of mind preventing mind from doing mind's functioning. Following the logos. He has now recognized this, that the ox is his nature. The trap is no longer needed when the rabbit has been caught. The net is useless when a fish has been snared. Finished midwifery. Congratulations. Like gold that has been separated from dross. We were talking about gold nuggets in your problems that you recognize in the fifth oxiding picture. But like gold that has been separated from dross. What the fuck is dross? Hey, welcome new chatter. Welcome. Dross, if you're asking what dross is, I've got you, bro. Dross refers to solid impurities, scum, oh my goodness, waste, that forms on the surface of molten metal during smelting. Oh, okay. So it's the garbage that you don't want when you're smelting gold. Gotcha. Psychology Rob. What is the literature you are referring to right here? I myself appreciate the modern philosophy a bit more than the antique, and it's quite different choice of words and metaphors. So, you've come at a good time. We've just finished reading this book here. This book is, some say, is the greatest work of philosophy ever written. It encapsulates the entirety of what philosophy is, the history of the lineage of philosophy, how to understand and rank all of the philosophers, the standard that we have to learn, what is the excellence of humanity, so that such that we can rank the philosophers through history, understand where our problems within humanity happened, the beginning of the Dark Ages, where understanding was killed by the introduction of the veneration of personal beliefs with Emperor Justinian, killing the philosophers and saying Christianity, actually. So, but also understanding the history of Christianity from Jesus and all of the different people that follow him, interpreting his message differently, so we can judge all of the different interpreters. What level of understanding and vision did they reach? But also, what level of problem did they have? Because that's how you judge a person. What's their highest vision and understanding of that vision? And what level of freedom from their personal false beliefs that they are carrying have they got? Because your beliefs you end up projecting or causing blind spots. Projecting what isn't there or leaving out what is called interpretation. That's the functioning of belief. That's the root cause of human problems. This is everything we've learned from the book. So we've been able to learn what philosophy is, what it isn't. It isn't what we learn in modern academia, because that's philodoxia, the love of opinions. Hegel's opinions, Kant's opinions, all these different opinions. We're not interested in opinions because we recognize opinions and personal beliefs are the cause of man's problem. Individually and in society, when those groups gain rulership, the veneration or the celebration of belief, the conservative party, personal beliefs opposed to reason and understanding, religious beliefs, we are the chosen people opposed to reason and understanding, capitalist beliefs, we deserve all the money and we will kill anyone who seeks to apply reason and understanding. So that's the cause of death and destruction in any culture that venerates belief and does not recognize that every art must be governed by understanding and at the same time a removal of beliefs, which is the same dynamic within our soul. You have to be developing understanding, but if you have any false beliefs that get in the way of understanding, you have to get rid of those too. So we can learn to judge and think for ourselves, to judge the lineage of philosophy from Socrates or even prior with Homer, and also the lineage of Christianity from Jesus through Paul, through Mark, in order to recognize the purpose of our life, to make use of our capacity of self-reflection. We don't have a word for that in English, so we have to use the word ousia in Greek, and our capacity for participating in the underlying, understandable, graspable nature of reality, the intelligibility of reality through language, reason, evidence, conversation, dialogue. That's the logos. The word that brings all that together is logos. So to use ousia and logos together, that's what makes us different from cabbages and kings. Cabbages and kings. Cabbages and cows. Cabbages and cows don't ousia, reflect on themselves. They don't logos, do so with understanding. Therefore, that's what makes us evolve. That's the art we're here to perfect. It's a skill like any other you have to train. That skill happens to be also the essence of spirituality. So this single spiritual art. Also, it's necessary for solving problems. You can't believe or opinion your problems away. You can't opinion your computer fixed. You have to understand your computer. You have to understand computer science. You can't use personal opinions to fly a plane or personal beliefs to do surgery. You need understanding. So the art of understanding, or dianoia, because we're not understanding physical things, we're understanding mind itself, reality itself. So the word dianoia is a Greek word that means understanding in a transpersonal sense or a non-physical sense. Pure ideas, not concepts. They have an existence. So the development of understanding so we can reach our excellence, ultimately know the nature of reality in experience and understanding together. One without the other isn't good enough. And recognize through understanding that even the peak experience of ultimate reality must have itself a cause, allowing us to understand that there are fundamentally two states of enlightenment that we can reach as our excellence, so long as we are perfecting the dialectic of understanding and also using it to purify our problems while paying attention to our dreams as our guide. So that's everything we've learned from the book. Now, what we're doing is, because we've allowed, that has given us an understanding of the stages of human development or any intelligent development that we go through. Sorry, I'm behind. What is the problem you have with different opinions? Oh, opinions are false. They're stupid. Like, who cares about opinions? It's my opinion that women suck. I'm a sexist. So what? That's your opinions are your problems. Like, who cares? I understand how to do surgery. I will pay you good money to teach me to be a doctor. That's the difference. When someone says, I have an opinion, we go, get out of here. When someone says, I have understanding, oh, good. I'll let you fly the plane because you're a pilot. You have understanding. What is it not part of humanity and to be accepted? Yeah, so it's recognizing it is part of humanity because the human beings are here specifically to develop false beliefs and opinions about self and reality that reflect our soul's development, that prevent our spiritual development beyond the physical realm. So yeah, we get problems. And our beliefs and opinions we hold sacred. But not my beliefs. My beliefs are special. I'm not a crazy Christian. I'm a regular Mormon Christian. I just have magic underpants. That's the preciousness we hold to our personal beliefs and opinions. That gives the power to human ignorance. Otherwise, we would have listened to Socrates. They killed Socrates because their stupid ass opinions was different than truth and understanding. That's the difference. But we can learn from the mistakes of our ignorant ancestors and listen to Socrates, go through the effort of purifying our false beliefs and opinions that block our participation and understanding, and free from those blocks, develop our understanding to understand the nature of reality, which is a kind of meditation that you can share with your friends, so it's a win-win, you benefit, they benefit, which creates the conditions for a direct experience of that pure consciousness, mind turning around. That's that self-reflection we've been talking about, but in its purest form where mind can know itself. After anybody has had that experience, that's, by the way, a brilliant light experience that Jesus had in the Gospel of Mark, that Achilles had in the story of the Iliad. The difference between Achilles and Jesus is what they did after their bright, shiny experience of mind knowing itself as eternity. Jesus didn't do the work in understanding, and he didn't do the work in purifying his personal beliefs. So he took that as a vindication of his religious beliefs and thought he was the next coming of Elijah. Achilles, reflected with understanding on that vision, was able to distinguish his family bullshit from this actual state of mind. We all think our family is special, our family beliefs are special, but Achilles more than anyone, because his parents were half God. He was actually special. But he challenged his dear false beliefs and the way of being of his mum and his dad in an activity we call philosophical midwifery, giving birth to our false beliefs, and dream analysis. Said, I'm not part of that game anymore. That's bollocks. And so in the story of Achilles in the Homer, the Iliad, we have the model of the model for humanity, the absolute worst person turning it around, solving his problems, and becoming the best. So what we have been doing in our, and you can watch these episodes on YouTube, we're about 185 episodes in, we've been understanding all of the aspects involved in that, to understand the nature of humanity, our problems, our excellence, and our purpose, and how to reach it, from a glimpse into that divine, into integrating it, recognizing that our habits and mind fight back our old problems, learning how to overcome that, align our state of being with our insight into true being, developing a mastery of that. And where we're up to now is when you're able to facilitate that self-reflection or be a dialectician or a midwife to someone else, that's the highest activity a human can participate in, with dream analysis. Meaning it's the kind of excellence you must set for yourself to surface the entirety of your false beliefs. If your goal is low, I'm just going to be a follower, well, you're not going to surface your problems. So we're taking our complete map of the states of development that we've got from reading this conversation Socrates and Jesus are having in the afterlife, in heaven, and we're applying it to the 10 ox-herding pictures of Zen Buddhism, which take them from a theoretical model and show the stages of development an individual goes through who is on the spiritual quest. So you could say we are uniting philosophy with Eastern spirituality. But actually, the truth is, true philosophy is the archetype of spirituality. I'm a person of evidence and I work in the field of, yes, this is all evidence. This is all evidence. This is what you use for evidence, reason itself. We are using that. For instance, we're not just using reason and evidence, we are using that, but we're doing something that physical scientists don't do. They don't ask questions about what principles have to exist in reality for evidence and reason to be in the physical world. Because that is a higher stage of self-reflection. That's true philosophy. The principles that have to pre-exist for there to be evidence and reason of a physical kind, that's what we're looking at and utilizing. Mind. For you to have a mind that participates in evidence and reason, mind has to exist, right? So there's definitely understanding in the concept of the human brain. Right, so that's an organ that our mind functions through, so we're going a bit higher than that. And yet it is totally individual perspective from each and every person, for example. Yes, so one of the beliefs that can prevent your development of truth and understanding is the belief that there is no truth and understanding. It's all just a matter of perspective. Hey, if Trump says it's his perspective of justice, that killing people is just, and it's my idea that helping people is just, who's to say what's right and wrong? It's all a matter of perspective. That's a very common belief. What we've done in this book is recognize that there are categories categories of false belief that prevent your participation in your purpose, in your development of intelligence, in your spiritual quest. That one is the seventh, in opposition to understanding. Everyone has different perspectives. Yours is different than mine. We never meet. The best we can do is beat up the other team and win. Now, there is a dialogue that explores this idea in greater depth. It's called, Is It All Relative? Is it all relative to opinions or perspective? Now, as we've finished this book, we might be getting into that very soon, like within a week or so maybe. So stick around in the channel. You might really enjoy that dialogue. And you can read it with us from the start. All I can say for sure is there's no empirical evidence of God and Jesus. That's not true. There's no evidence that you have seen of God. There's lots of evidence and experience of God. Also for Jesus, yes, too, is true as well. And we all think it's true based on books, tellings, and basically going through. So that's what we're doing. We're discerning truth from opinion or truth from interpretation. We're also learning how to do that in principle ourselves by learning to read this book in a new way. At school, they say, hey, what does this book mean to you? And you can just invent any. To me, Harry Potter is about Jesus is in my heart, because Harry Potter is like Jesus and his wand is like my penis. And when you think about it, so you just make up any old stuff. That's what they teach you at school. We're learning how to read properly. That is to read without interpretations. So your idea, I don't want to just believe other people, and it's all just interpretations of interpretations, is exactly on the ball. What we're taking is taking that impetus and that motivation you have and running with it, perfecting it. People taking psychedelics in a lonely forest. You don't have to be in a lonely forest. There are many traditions, like the ancient Greeks took LSD or ergot as part of a spiritual discipline, but you don't have to take psychedelics to have spiritual experiences. There are many, many ways. So psychedelics just, can make it easier, but it's still a gamble. Even if you do like Terence McKenna and take an heroic dose of mushrooms or LSD, it's not guaranteed. But what we can do is understand why you might be blocked, or if we can understand the nature of your bad trip. What drugs do, if it gives you some sort of psychic energy that we are developing through reading and reflecting together as a community, you can get it in a pill form, sure. Like cocaine, you can be excited or you can take cocaine. But it doesn't address your problems or blocks. Just because you've got an influx of psychic energy, same thing with lovemaking. You can use your energy from making love to feed your problems, your fantasies, or if you've done the work to address your false beliefs and fantasies, you might not face that bad trip or bad lovemaking, and you might be more free to use that psychic energy to propel yourself out of body to experience the realm of mind, or ideally go through mind to know the self. So I'm wondering what makes you so sure of what you say and what the philosophy is based on is true in itself. Yes, very good question. Carry that. What would make someone sure about what they're saying? What makes something true? What's the difference from people being certain in their own ignorance and someone being honest about their own seeing? Good question. That's reading. That's midwifery. You've given birth to a question. To hold on to that question as we continue our reading and reflection is to be on a quest. If you don't have the question, why would you give a shit? Why would you even read? Just play a video game. Waste your life that way. But if you have your own question, you've got a motivation, you've got an interest. You can take the reading and see if it answers your question, or if it gives birth to higher questions. That's the quest. To carry a question is to be on a quest. And then I play the noise. The quest noise. Is that loud enough? I feel like it needs to be a little bit louder. Let's make it a little bit louder. Let's go. Is that even louder? That's better. All right. So yes, good questions. Hold on to them. Keep them. I hope I gave you enough to become curious about what we're doing here and gave you enough of an introduction. So we are about 185 episodes into reading this book. You can go to the YouTube channel and follow along at your own pace, or just jump in wherever you're at. You're addressing problems I myself can't identify with. Oh no, it's your question. I am wondering what makes you so sure what you say and what the philosophy is based on is true itself. That's a question about truth and human apprehension of truth. I'm just repeating your words back to you. But if it's not your question, let us know what your question is. What are you curious about? What makes you wonder? It's a bit hard to follow the concepts you're referring to. I know, I'm sorry. Yes, so I'm kind of using your question as a way of reviewing everything we're doing. So we've just finished the entire book. We're taking this book of philosophy and seeing if our learning and understanding about the nature of the human condition can help us shed light on a different thing. The different thing is, within the Zen Buddhist tradition, there is a kind of a map that gurus have to recognize the stage of enlightenment that a student is on. Now, what they didn't have is logos, the understanding of philosophy. So we're seeing if we can improve the ox-herding pictures, or at least improve our understanding of the ox-herding pictures, to gain an understanding of the stages a human being goes through in the spiritual journey, or the stages of enlightenment, by adding understanding to the figurative language of Zen Buddhism. So we finished the book, so we're quite a way through, and we're going through the ox-herding pictures. Overall, you said that there is empirical evidence of God. Yes and no. Evidence, yes. Empirical, no. Empirical means of the physical senses. So if God is non-physical in principle, you would have to use non-physical ways of verifying it in your own direct experience. It would also have to be rational. If it's the cause of the things that follow, then again, it would be consistent with physical evidence, but it wouldn't be able to be seen. In other words, you can you can infer the existence of a cause by seeing its effects. For instance, beauty. A beautiful dog, a beautiful painting, a beautiful streamer. Now you might recognize these physical things participate in beauty as an adjective. Now what some people do, philosophers, is ask the question, where is beauty itself? Do we ever see it as a noun? It seems like we only see it as an adjective. Then where the hell did we learn about it? Where does it exist? If it has scope over the physical world, it can't be itself as a noun or substantive of the physical world. We're only seeing its effects. Also, if we can recognize it without ever learning it from the physical world, what does it say about the nature of our own mind? Now, there are many kinds of reflections like that. That's called the dialectic. You can even lead people through that kind of reflection yourself. So that's the way of inferring the existence of a non-physical dimension or mind itself or consciousness through reason alone. Another way of waking up to philosophy is You have an experience. In dreams, in meditation, in yoga, in sport, in childbirth, in dance, in psychedelics, as you mentioned, in meditation. There are many ways of near-death experience, out-of-body experiences. That can wake you up to there being something other than the physical world. So whether you recognize the physical world participates in principles and forces that have to have a prior existence because of cause and effect, or whether it's from an experience. So whether it's from your direct experience or ousia, mind knowing itself, or from logos, reasoning, you can posit the existence of a non-physical eternal intelligence. But of course, even that would have to have a cause. And that's the puzzle. If there's an experience of a peak experience of knowing everything all at once, what was the cause of that? And if it's the cause of experience, in principle, it can't be an experience. So how do you know that which is not an object of experience? Giving us two categories of enlightenment experience. One that's a blissful experience of pure knowingness, or ousia, and one that is beyond that. And as we are going through the ox-herding pictures, we're looking for examples of those two different enlightenment kinds. One of bliss, one of purity, one of complete knowingness, one of transcendence, one of divine luminosity or beauty itself, one of clarity. So good questions. My opinion is, well, it's good to voice your opinions, but not listen to them. Remember, the opinions you have is because of your childhood and your upbringing and the society you grew up in. Unless you've done the work to reflect on your earliest teachings that you don't even know you have, your opinions and beliefs are messages sent to you about the false ideas you are carrying that block your development. So it's good to share your beliefs and opinions, especially when they rub up against what we've been reading or what you've been reading. In other words, or rub up against understanding. I've just been led to understand something, but I don't want to accept it because of my belief. Good! Write that down. The blocks that we face are all understandable. So while it's good to talk about your beliefs and opinions, we want to keep an open mind about them and not be certain. Like a racist. I'm certain that blacks are all whatever. No, how about this? How about be open and curious about your racist beliefs and wonder about what they're a message. What does it tell you about your upbringing? What does it tell you about your parents that you hate black people? What might that be a message to you about? That's the role of opinions and beliefs. I got a different perspective, about God, and it might refer to a more spiritual perspective, yet it sounds like you're talking about a God in the Christian. So religion is, again, belief. So the very thing that we said is the nature of human problems, the beliefs, the fundamental beliefs and opinions we carry about ourselves that we are very precious about. It's our job to, as we've been saying, seek excellence in something that we care about, that's meaningful and intelligent. So give birth to a question that makes you want to read the books that we read here. Otherwise, why would you care? And in doing that, in learning how to read without interpretation or to understand without opinion, you will surface your personal beliefs. And you'll recognize, if you stay in this game, and especially if you can find other people to reflect with, you will find that all of the problems you face in your life, in your relationships, in your daydreams, in your tangents, in your fantasies, and even in your night dreams, all play out because of the false beliefs you carry about yourself and the false image of self that you're identifying with. And if you keep in the game and you keep reflecting and seeking understanding, you will find that they are all solvable. That recognition of the understandability and solvability of all of your problems is itself a state of enlightenment that we call the fifth ox-herding picture, or the third state of enlightenment. Now, some people don't do that. They would rather say all of my dumbass beliefs I got from my dumbass parents, who got from their dumbass parents, got from their dumbass parents, all the way back to caveman times when the humans that survived were blindly loyal to their dumbass tribe leader and everything outside the cave was bad and scary. Before they had language in Usia, before they could think for themselves, those were the ones that weren't eaten by saber-toothed tigers. That's the lineage of human problems. Instead of addressing it, which takes integrity and courage and developing of understanding, turning understanding into a skill called the dialectic, using that skill to benefit yourself and your friends, that makes it an art. Instead of doing any of that work, they say, no, I love my beliefs. They're the best beliefs. I don't think black people are bad. God thinks black people are bad. I don't think I should rule the world. God says I should rule the world. I don't want to beat up my enemies. God says I wants to beat up my enemies. That's religion. A veneration or a celebration or a pedestalization of the very ignorance you're here to solve. That's religion. Now, I'm just summarizing the book. The idea is for you to go through this reasoning yourself and see if that's true or not. Don't just believe me. So when you say, it sounds like I've got a Christian perspective, you couldn't be more wrong. It's the exact opposite, actually. But what we are learning to do is understand the roots of the specific Christian version of that human sickness we call religion, or the veneration of belief. Conservatives, same thing. They're racist, sexist, fucking fascist beliefs. Instead of doing the work to understand them and doing the work to do an understanding of the true nature of the health and development of the soul, which should be the role of the politician, they say, fuck that, God says I should be in charge. And then Trump posts on Twitter a picture of him as AI Jesus.
You suck. You're ugly. I'm gonna get your ass.
Yeah. The questions I am asking are not problems. Oh, find one that's a problem. The questions are meant honest in interest. Cool. That's good. To understand your perspective on life, it's not my perspective, it's just understanding. It's just being rational. It's not... See, this is the difference. We think we're taught by the ignorant people within the history of Aristotle. See, Aristotle dropped the ball from Socrates. That philosophy means philos, Sophia, love of wisdom. Wisdom is a direct experience with reality along with its understanding. That's wisdom. It's transpersonal. It's objective. It's true for everyone for always. Modern philosophy rejects that because we allow ourselves to be ruled by ignorant fucks who claim to speak for God or the invisible hand of the market or the founding fathers. So what modern philosophy is, Socrates said in this book here, is philodoxia, love of opinions. So it's not my perspective, one perspective among many. It's just philosophy, truth, thinking. This is true for everyone, for always. Everything that we said here is true for everyone. And always will be. So it's a kind of learning that you can take with you wherever you go after you die. Whatever dimension, whatever reality, whatever cosmos, this will always be true. That's the significance of understanding, which is transpersonal. Concept of enlightenment and God knowing, it exists. I'd rather would say that non-empirical part of understanding would be having an openness to each to their own person, having a nature around me. Right. Being open to people is fine, but if everyone has their own ignorance, who gives a shit? If you meet a Mormon, I think that God wants us to wear magic underpants. You can be open to asking them, why do you think that? And I bet you a nickel they'll say, because my mummy and daddy told me when I was 4? Isn't that where all religion comes from? Yeah, that is where all religion comes from. Yeah, Muslim parents have Muslim babies. That's not a coincidence. Mormon babies have Mormon parents. That's the indoctrination of belief, comes from childhood. But doesn't make it true. Yeah, everyone has their own ignorance, but who cares? That's philosophy. Wanting to know the truth, that's different. maybe even wanting to be able to help those people with their ignorance, that's also good. That's the dialectic. Dialectic allows you to follow the intelligibility of reality, or reason and evidence, or reason and experience. Follow that to the truth. Also reflect on the cause of what's false, cause of false beliefs. So philosophy is necessarily the new age of man. It's the only thing that solves human problems, and it's the only path to our human excellence. Because of course it is. It's just thinking. Just thinking done properly. Like a skill. Like, how many ways is there to ride a bike? One.
Oh, but it's my belief that I can ride my bike upside down.
No. It's not bad that there's one way to ride a bike. It's good. You don't have to be tricked by scammers. Hey, join my religion and I'll teach you how to ride the bike. In the way that the bike manufacturers don't want you to know. No, understanding is open to everyone. It's a good thing. I just don't see a God. Oh, good. That's a good place to start. It's irrelevant within me. Then find a question that is relevant, and let's talk about that. Well, it was fatal of me to say something like, your perspective seems Christian. Oh, I mean, it gave me an opportunity to explain the difference between perspective and understanding, and the difference between belief and philosophy. So it's fine. Gives me someone to talk to. While not even asking what your definition of God might be. Right, now what, again, notice your language. Your definition of God. That's not philosophy. The definition of God. If it's the definition of God, you're giving me an opportunity to share my understanding to the level I've reached, which allows me to test it, which is why which is the human game. We test the level of understanding that we have by communicating that to another person. Their job isn't to defend their beliefs, but see if they can follow. Testing their own vision and understanding. But the thing is, if it's successful, if I was able to communicate adequately through understanding, I've tested and practiced my understanding of what's true, you were able to follow step by step, and you've come to a new understanding or insight. It's a win-win.
Win.
That's the dialectic. That's the real human game. Debate is,
I believe this. Convince me otherwise. Ah.
debates are for perverts.
Debate weirdo.
For debate weirdos.
Perverts. Let's be honest, perverts.
Debate perverts.
Debate dweeb.
You might talk about understanding and facts of philosophy, yet you are influenced by all your experiences, influence in life, so your perspective is still as you see it. No, well, there's two different things. See, there are two different ideas in your sentence. For example, if someone understands, like the IT guy at the office, right? He might understand how to fix a computer program, right? So he would have understanding of that computer program. It would equally be true that he has experiences and influences of his life. They are two true things. Would you say his understanding of how to fix Windows is just his perspective, or is it actually understanding? See, just because he's had experiences and influences doesn't mean he can't also have understanding. Now the game is, what if those influences and experiences on you, especially in childhood, limit your ability to be an IT guy? Let's say you're studying for your IT exam and you tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I will never pass this exam, and you don't study. That's how our personal beliefs get in the way of us learning how to understand computers. Some people, they were never told they're stupid. So they're quite happy understanding computers. But that same guy goes to a girl he has a crush on. Oh, I'm not gonna understand her. Oh, she'll just dump me. So his personal experiences and influences, or his personal beliefs about self and reality that he takes for granted, limit his ability to understand that girl. didn't limit his ability to understand computers. What we want to do is set our understanding on what's personally meaningful to us. That's why I want to know what your question is. What are you really curious about? Because if that's your question, a genuine question, and you hold it, that's meditation. Sustained concentration is meditation. If you hold it and you read the sorts of books that we read, there's only like 3 authors. There's Socrates, there's Pierre Grimes, and there's Homer. These are people who have completed that journey. They know the nature of reality, and they're communicating it to us in a way that we can understand. If we seek to master it the same way that nerd seeks to understand how to fix a computer. If we follow that question and we seek to master that, then it will surface all of the conflicting experiences and influences, or the conflicting personal beliefs we carry that we have to address. So that nerd won't be able to talk and understand that girl unless he addresses his past experience. Every time his dad says, no girls will date you. Every time his mum was a bitch at home. That kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So you're right to say that we have negative influences or perspectives, or what we call them beliefs. And understanding is also a different thing. For some people, they can understand something. Some people, their beliefs get in the way. For all people, if you seek to master understanding itself, that's true philosophy, that's the dialectic, that's the spiritual quest, and that's the purpose of humanity, then it will surface all of the beliefs that get in the way, which is your purpose as a human being, to purify your false beliefs as you perfect understanding. Did that metaphor make sense? It's both, I'd say. Yeah, you got it. The example is straightforward. Let's say, what's the definition of mind? You could ask every linguist on earth. Yes, that's why we read Socrates, Pierre Grimes, and maybe even Homer. We don't want opinions, it's like if you want to become a mechanic, you don't read Crackhead Joe's book on cars. You don't read Margaret Thatcher's cooking recipes. You read a book on mechanical engineering by a mechanic. So if we want to understand the nature of mind, self, reality, or understanding, we read books from a dialectician. And if it doesn't work, we write a nasty email to the publisher and say, this guy was rubbish. Like, we won't know unless we try. And it seems to be there are only 3 human beings who have written stuff. Well, 2 who have written stuff, 1 who had it written for him, Socrates, that have meet that criteria, that have written books that are intelligible, which means we read them without belief or interpretation. They're complete in and of themselves. And in seeking to read them without interpretation, we participate in this very purpose or art we're here to master. It's a good question. On the basis, I don't have a question, to be honest. Sure you do. Everyone has a question. Everyone has 2 kinds of questions. The first question is about what most interests you. What you consider most beautiful, most good, or a peak experience you've had. Most curious. Is it a beautiful woman? Is it a beautiful text? Is it a beautiful study? Is it a beautiful idea? Is it an experience that you've had? Is it something to do with maybe not beauty but justice? The fairness. How can we live in a just world, a fair world? Maybe to address so that's one class of question about our highest experience or idea of beauty or justice or good. The second class of question that everyone has: how the fuck do I stop being sad? How do I get over my problems? We all seek our good, and we all seek to remove our what's bad or what blocks us. So those are the only really 2. There are 3 questions you can ask someone. Where are you at in terms of your highest vision and understanding of self or reality? Where are you stuck? Have you noticed that you keep getting into the same kinds of problems over and over? Whenever you talk to the pretty girl, you always say, she'll think my ears are too big. Or whenever you apply for that job you want, you'll say, no one will listen to me, my voice is too ugly. Whenever you have a big thing to do, you always sleep in. Whatever it is, have you noticed a pattern that repeats that blocks your ability to reach your goals? Where are you at and where are you stuck? The third question is interesting because you might not be very clear on those two questions for yourself, but you know who is clear? Your dream maker. What Socrates says time and time again in this book and in his dialogues from Plato. You cannot reach your excellence and overcome your problems without paying attention to your dreams. Your dreams know those two questions. And your dreams will give you little movies or little texts that you can read. The way that we've been learning how to read here, you can apply them to your dreams. And they will give you insight about your excellence or your reading or whatever you're mastering and about your problems. So the three questions you can ask someone: where are you at? Where are you stuck? What did you dream about last night? By the way, don't believe me, try it for yourself. And if it doesn't work, I will give you your money back. Most interesting thing is the psychology and the different perspectives on life. I mean, if you're interested in what stupid people think, then sure. I'd love to get to know each and every person on Earth. I am a happy person, okay. Sure, I mean... That's why you need a question. If you needed to get to Los Angeles, because you had a conference to go to, and if you didn't get to that conference, you'd be fired, and if you get fired, you lose your healthcare, and you lose your house. Would you care what every Yahoo in your small town thinks about how to get to Los Angeles? Crackhead Joe, it's my perspective that to get to Los Angeles, you have to talk to aliens. And aliens will say, first go to Texas, because Texas is where it's at. And then you'll get the clues to how to get to... No, you won't give a shit about what everyone thinks. You'd go to someone who knows, wouldn't you? Let's say you break your arm. Do you care about everyone's perspective on it? The mechanic's perspective? The greengrocer's perspective? Aunt Betty, who's into New Age healing, do you want her perspective on how to fix your arm? Or, because it's important to you, do you not care at all about anyone's perspective? You go straight to someone who has understanding. You go to the doctor, wouldn't you? That's why you need a question. If you don't care, then who gives a shit? Yeah. I know many rooms where you can get 100 stupid people in a room. And you can talk to every one of them. In fact, they meet every Friday at the pub. Good luck. But if you care about something, that's different, isn't it? If you need to get to Los Angeles, if you need to fix your broken arm, if your car's broken and you need to get to work, you want to get everyone's on Earth's perspective, or do you want to go to a mechanic? What we are doing here is we actually care about how to solve our problems. We actually care about what we are. We're here. What are we supposed to do? Where did we come from before we came here? Where are we going after? And what should we be doing while we're here? The people on this channel, that's what we're interested in. Another way of saying it, you're in this video game. What's the goal? Save the princess? Defeat the T-virus? What's the goal? And what abilities what's the A button do? What's the B button do? What abilities do we have? We have mind. Okay, how do we use it? How far does it go? What's the reach of mind? What if we don't pay attention to our mind? What happens? Oh, and by the way, if we have this mind that has this ability to reach, to know, to discover and reach our goals, who's the player? For some people, these questions matter. And some people call that being awake, because you're just being rational about who you are. Do you know you? You've got a mind. You're curious about it. Do you want to know how far it goes? What's the reach of the mind? What's the source of the mind? What's the purpose of the mind? Do you want to know why you're here? Do you want to know where you go next? And if you can have a influence over having a better journey when you die, or a better place to go to after. And if you actually care about them, you're not going to be satisfied with any fucking preacher or religious idiot or Joe Rogan podcast or red pill grifter. You don't care about beliefs and opinions if you really care about the question. Isn't that what we demonstrated before? So for those who actually want to know what they are, what their purpose is, how to remove their problems, the nature of their mind, and their highest excellence. Those are true philosophers. Those are the people who join this channel and Discord and we talk to here. Where am I at? I am on a path I've chosen plenty of years ago, learning and experiencing in a shifting manner. Where am I stuck? At the problems which I don't see myself. Good point. That's why we need people to talk to. Or dreams. Which will rise at some random day. What is with the dream maker? I don't quite get it. Oh, when you explore the nature of your dreams, remember how we said, okay, if there's a non-physical intelligence, or the divine, or what you might call God, that's a loaded word, but we'll use it. You won't be able to prove its existence with physical things, because it's non-physical. You can't put it in a test tube. But you might be able to infer things about its nature and existence from its physical effects, waking you up to philosophy, or the question about your own consciousness or the self, or what's the cause of understanding. Those three questions: understanding, mind, and self. Equally so, if you start to pay attention to your dreams, especially if you approach your dreams with understanding and not interpretation. So the very thing we've been doing for 185 episodes on this channel, learning to read with integrity, without interpretation. If you apply that skill to your dreams, you start to notice things: guidance, help, insight, a profound personal knowledge of you, of your past, of your present, and hey, even your future, as well as your problems. In a similar way, now again, this is just an introductory spiel. You will have to do it yourself, if you're curious. Otherwise, give up. Don't become a Jedi. Stay living under the staircase, Harry Potter. Stay in the Shire, Frodo. The call to adventure, don't go on it. If you, I don't know, got something better to do. But if you do pay attention to your dreams, which Socrates says is the most important thing you can do as a human being, and some other people as well, then you can reflect or infer what must be the nature of the dream maker. That is what we have been doing the last couple of episodes. We have a curiosity. You know how we said, what's the reach of the mind? Or what's the excellence that we can reach? Here is something curious. If the ideal functioning of the human being is the dialectician, the art of understanding that helps us explore true ideas and solve problems, who's the best at it? If you're playing FIFA, who's the best soccer player? Turns out, maybe the dream maker. In a way that is super profound and insightful. How many dreams are made a night? Let's say 4 or 5. How many people are there in the world? Was it 8 billion? What's 8 billion times 5? 40 billion dreams? Plus, let's say there are just as many animals that dream. How many billion dreams a night does it make? Each of which are profoundly insightful and helpful and give you message most appropriate to where you are in your development. What the hell is going on in this video game? Referring to your point about the broken bone, I'd sure ask someone with understanding. Thank God you're not an idiot. Congratulations. Yet I'd be interested in every person how they do it themselves. What? You'd go to Crackhead Joe? Hey, Crackhead Joe, with the arms that have all set in bad places because you have no understanding and you're too stupid to ask questions. What do you think about medicine?
Well, medicine is when you pray to Jesus.
You would give a shit about what he has to say? Why? I mean, what benefit would you have? I mean, I guess some people watch TV shows. Especially as I'm most interested in, I don't know what proficience is. Or rather to say the biggest interests of people. Well, that's different. That's different. You're not interested in people's dumb opinions. You might be interested in what they are, in the idea of inspiration, or the same thing I asked you. What are you interested in? What's your question? That's different. Notice I didn't ask, what are your opinions of God? I don't care what people's opinions are. I'm not a slave to belief. I'm not stupid. I want to understand and lead my own self through understanding, like everyone should. But I'm curious about what your questions are. That's interesting. Not your answers yet. Everything that occurs in random, I lose my job, my house, and everything, that's something I don't care about, as I said, doesn't happen. Person of plan A, not B and C. You actually dream hundreds of dreams a night. Sounds like you know a lot about dreams. Interesting. Ever wondered about the dream maker? How do I know someone has a dumb opinion before asking something about their opinion, get to know them? That's another good question. How do you judge the state of mind or whether they have opinion or understanding? Good question. Lots of good questions. I hope you hold on to that. So, fantastic questions. To hold a question is to be on a quest, and that's philosophy. And there's a noise for that. Now, if you read the sorts of books that we read here, you start to gather material or terms or pieces that you can apply to your question. By the way, theology is expressing those principles with a little character. Like we could pick Spider-Man, or we could pick Apollo. The idea of reading these texts to get the specific key terms that answers questions about dreams or mind or reality or God, that is that kind of reading with this kind of integrity of this kind of material, Apollo. Now, taking those pieces and applying it to your meaningful questions that keep you up at night, or your friends say, hey, come to this football game. No, I've got this question. Oh, I want to think about this question. I want to find people to ask this question to. Applying your Apollo reading to your personal, meaningful questions, Aphrodite. Taking the parts from your reading and bringing them into a meaningful whole. Apollo and Aphrodite. Socrates says, those are the two gods I follow in philosophy. By the way, as you do that, you might start to, what do we notice? Patterns. What did we ask about When we looked at your question about God, beauty, there are certain patterns. A beautiful puppy, a beautiful stream, or a beautiful painting. There might be a higher principle, beauty itself. What do we say about the dream maker? Wow, this dream was meaningful, and this dream knew my problems, and this dream had some sort of prophecy or divination that was able to predict the future. And all of these dreams were helpful. What did we do? We looked at the parts, noticed a structure that was intelligent and meaningful, and inferred something about its cause. You're doing Apollo. You're reading. You've got your question, and you're reflecting on your reading with your friends. And you start to notice there's a structure. You're not just learning from what Socrates is saying, but you're starting to notice a structure of his thought. There's a pattern or structure behind his thinking that he's using. It's not Socrates that is doing it. He is participating in a greater pattern of intelligence, or what Socrates calls, right at the end of the book, that is the end. Where is it? Reason bids me to go where I do, and with her I follow the Logos. The Logos. You might start to recognize there's a structure and pattern behind the thinking of Socrates, the thinking of Parmenides, the thinking of the author of the book. That's the dialectic. To recognize there is an inherent intelligibility within reality that Socrates participates in, that reality participates in. That's going from Apollo and Aphrodite to where they both lead, Hermes. That's the triad we've been talking about today, called the anagogic triad, upward moving triad. That's the dialectic. Now, for some people, it takes them a glimpse. So, that idea of, let me answer that question before I get to your next chat. Some people never do it. Why do I read Apollo? I gotta sleep. I'll read your question. I know the answer for myself, Judge. Oh, thanks for the follow. Interested in what, especially on the basis of, okay. Good questions. Thanks for the follow. Enjoy your sleep. If you want to record your dreams, could be curious. So you might need an audio recording app on your phone, and you might want to press record before you even get out of bed and go to the toilet, just to get it accurate. I've even seen people, instead of transcribing the audio, it takes half an hour or so, they use these audio transcription services. Don't listen to me, So, those people who don't have a question, not interested in that Apollo reading, first ox-herding picture, ignorance, seeking the ox. Why search for the ox when it hasn't even gone astray? I already know. Having turned your back on your true nature because of your defilements or beliefs and opinions, you've lost sight of the true purpose of your life. A maze of crisscrossing roads, all of these personal opinions and perspectives. Which one do I take? Who do I follow? Greed for worldly gain. I'd like to manipulate people for profit. And dread for loss spring up like flames. Thanks for the tips. I'll try to figure something out at some point. Yeah, well, I hope to see you in stream sometime. Ideas of right and wrong dart out like daggers. That's our ignorant person who's not in the game. Discovering the tracks. through reading through the sutras and teachings, what's the sutras we've described, the works of the logos that are intelligible, he discerns the tracks of the ox. He's been informed that different shapes, beautiful this, beautiful that, are all of the same beauty itself. Is this second ox herding picture our friend in the chat? Each thing is a manifestation of the self he is hearing and reading. But he's unable to distinguish good from evil, truth from false, understanding from opinion. So he's not actually entered the gate. He sees in a tentative way the tracks of an ox. He hears that there might be an intelligibility of his dreams, but he's tentative. He says things like, maybe I'll figure something out someday. Second ox herding picture, our friend in chat. Innumerable footprints he has seen. Over yonder, are there trampled grass? Maybe this ox that he's hearing about reaches all the way to heaven. Now, if our friend does get into the reading that we do here, we could also say Apollo. Perceiving the bull, having a glimpse. Catching the bull, realizing his old patterns and habits are stubborn and unbridled. It has a will and power that are inexhaustible. Your old ways of being fighting back against your new way of being. If you are still staying in the game, you're still second ox herding picture reading. Actually, is there anything good in the first? Can we salvage anything from the first? Oh yes, here's the cicadas chirping in the trees. Keep curious about music or intelligibility or understanding. 2, keep reading. 3, keep in mind the glimpse you had. Even if everyone around you, all your friends in the 4th ox herding picture, the 2nd stage of enlightenment, all your old friends and your family are saying you're crazy. What did our friend in chat say? People who do psychedelics are just crazy people in the forest. There's nothing real. It's all just brain chemistry. They will tell you all of that shit. You're just crazy. You're just a hippie. It's just brain chemistry. Come back with us. We know the truth. One of us. One of us. If he keeps going, keeps his reading, keeps his search, keeps his curiosity, and keeps reflecting with his friends, he is in the 2nd stage of enlightenment. A stage Jesus didn't reach in his life, but depending on the sequel that you write to the book we just finished, maybe Jesus is in now. Because Jesus faced this counterattack when talking to Socrates. If he stays in the game, congratulations. He did better than his physical life where he opted out after his glimpse. I've seen enough. I know I'm the next coming of the King of the Jews. And lots of people are in that boat. Wow, I just glimpsed something more real than anything in the physical world. I'm gonna start a cult. I'm gonna start a podcast. Oh, don't say that. Not me.
That's weird that you think that.
That is weird. Don't say me.
What the hell kind of a show is this? What is this, the comedy mothership?
Yeah, that's just, we're having jokes, like the comedy mothership. Now, oh my word. Starting to have some success, starting to recognize that chirping of the cicada also applies to your problems. There's gold to be found in your blocks. Keeping that relationship going, finding someone with a good heart and good head, also loves understanding, also seeks excellence, also wants to improve themselves, maybe the world. 5th ox herding picture. You're starting to see that if you don't think you can solve your problems, that's your own delusion. If you don't see that even your thoughts are from the self, thoughts are just like clouds. Meditation is letting them float by. Hang on a second. Did you pick them? Where do they come from? You ignoring them? Hey, our friend in chat, your dreams. Did you decide your dreams? So many people say when they hear about the significance of dreams, they say, what about lucid dreaming? What are you talking about? Hey, I want to be in control. I want to decide. You idiot. When you go to the doctor, do you say, I want to be the one who prescribes all of the drugs? You'll die of cancer, you idiot. Those thoughts that are being sent to you that block your development, you are starting to see that they are themselves solvable, and you're starting to have some success. Your mind goes from your old way of being, and at times you are gentle. Sometimes you're still straying off into your old path, but that's okay. You've stayed in the game. You're still doing dream analysis and midwifery. You're still reading with your friends. Congratulations, you're in the 5th. Or taking away 2 for those 2 states of ignorance, 3rd level of enlightenment. Starting to see your problems are solvable. You're doing better than Master Roshi or Master Jiraiya from anime. Archetypes of this principle. The sage who has these mystical powers but still have their problems that they are still stuck in. You're doing better than him. Maybe you can be the next Hokage. To be the next Hokage, you have to have a kind of rulership over the Leaf Village. Your participation in the reflection on your problems and your reading has reached a stage where you are now able to function as a dialectician yourself. Congratulations, you've turned your skill into mastery. Why mastery? So long as you can use your skill to benefit someone, congratulations, mastery. And because this particular skill is the thing that benefits the soul, we could call it not just an art, but the art of humanity, or the Hellenic. You're a dialectician. Congratulations. Now, this is our highest kind of activity in the physical incarnation as humans. Therefore, as we've been saying to our friends, hey, if your question isn't significant to you, then yeah, you'll waste your time talking to the opinions of idiots. But as soon as he needed to go to the doctor, well, yeah, actually, I don't care about the opinions of crackheads. I want to go to the doctor because my arm's fucking broken. He did try and, by the way, we have an example of the levels of interpretation as well. When we first talked about the idea of understanding being more significant than opinions, our chatter today rejected that. No. Even you who say, no, everything is just opinions and perspective. Then what did he do? He stayed, to his credit, stayed in the dialogue. Not many people last in this kind of a setting. Offered his alternative beliefs. You know what? Even if you are sharing understanding, so he's listening. He's gone from stage 5 to stage 4. He's listening. Even if you have understanding, you've had experiences and influences from your upbringing and childhood. So therefore, everything is a matter of opinions and perspective. There's no understanding. So he's still rejecting, but he's offering his alternative beliefs. And what do we do? Gave an example of the IT guy. Does an IT guy have understanding, even though he has... We also translated his layperson language, influences and experiences into beliefs, fundamental beliefs. Hey, the IT nerd was able to do understanding and still had false beliefs that prevented him from talking to the cute girl. Right? Did he take a piece of that? Well, yeah, okay, well, sure, okay, the IT guy might have understanding, but I'm a happy person. I want to hear the experiences and the interests of everyone. That's what I think life's about. So he's taken a piece of this idea that understanding is possible. Then what do? Up the stakes. Okay, now it's no longer an IT guy that you can say isn't important to me. What if it's your broken arm? Oh yeah. Then I do want to go to the doctor who has understanding. Then what did he do? But also, what did he say? Let me go back. Where is it? If I have a broken bone, yeah, sure, I'd ask someone with understanding. Yet I'd still be interested in every person and how they'd do it themselves. Very predictable, understandable. So we started by giving a review of everything we read as a kind of introduction to our friend. That's the truth element of the human journey. Then we had to go through this dialogue with him, relating to him as a human being. You need both. Human beings, as we mentioned, don't respond to truth automatically. So what was his last stage of interpretation? Okay, I do accept understanding is actually important and meaningful, but I still want to talk to everyone about their own, how they would do it themselves. Unifying the old and the new. What would be the next step? Well, either addressing where he's at, now that we can determine where he's at within the model, or where he's stuck. Which do we choose? Or which does he give us? What was his response? Pew, skedaddle. He was out of here. I've got better things to do than talk to a philosopher. Really? What a strange thing to say. In other words, he chose for us. That would be, hey, oh, I've got something. What does he have that's better to do? Oh, he's got to sleep. All right. How did that help his participation in a dialectic with a dialectician? So, we did mention to him, so we did give him an overview of what we're doing. And that included the nature of beliefs that we are interested in. We could say things like, oh, by the way, don't be precious, like a new mother doesn't want to give up her baby that's sick and needs to be aborted. But he got an overview, enough of it. And what did we say? There are two questions you can ask, where you're at and where you're stuck. What did he give us? Where he's stuck. So we could, hey, by the way, got something to get to in the morning? Have you heard of coffee? Lots of things we could ask him to get him curious about why did he skedaddle? Why was this enough? Because this, he still can hold on to the way of being that he identifies with. That's his thing. That's the first thing he introduced himself as. He says that's what makes me a person. I'm a happy person because I want to hear everyone's opinion. That's his way of relating to people. That's the role he learned growing up. That's the role he's solidified his whole life. That's the role that's acceptable within his family clan. He doesn't have to challenge his bullshit family clan crap and the images of his parents. It's not in the game yet. What does he need? He needs a broken arm. Now, a broken arm is one way. You need a problem that is so significant that you're willing to go through the effort, the courage, the character to address that stuff that is more comfortable to just be a passive slave zombie to. It's easier, it's comfortable, it's familiar. You come into this life with this kind of problem and you've spent your life solidifying it like everyone else, to your detriment in this life and beyond. But if your arm is broken, what did he say? Then I will pay attention to the doctor, but not until then. The other thing, he needs a question. He needs a question that is his own. So it could be a problem. So we said there are two questions, as we said to him, well, if everyone has a question, everyone wants to reach their goodness and remove their badness. Do you want a broken arm? Or do you want a question about any of the things we offered you? Hey, where did you come from? The Mario, the video game analogy. Where are you going? What should you be doing while you're here? All of the things. We gave him a wide smorgasbord, plethora of questions to choose from. He needs his own of any of those categories. Why? Either the broken arm or the question that is so significant to him motivates him personally. That's Aphrodite. To go through the development of character and courage and virtue required to address those old ways of being and earliest parental images of love and beauty and justice. Otherwise, he won't. That's why he was out of here. His arm wasn't broken and he didn't give birth to a question. We did say there was a third way of going. Dreams. You know who does know more about the sorts of things he's interested in as a goal? You know what does know more about the sorts of things that causes problems in his life? Is Dream Maker. That's why dreams are a shortcut. Or, not shortcut, moving far more quickly. You might not have to go through many lifetimes to find a good goal, or many lifetimes to find a problem so significant you're willing to go through the work and wake up. You can do it in one lifetime if you pay attention to your dreams. In principle. So that's what's required to go from the second level of interpretation to the first. Accepting something that's true, that challenges his old ways. What was it that he would have to accept as true? Understanding. As real, as transpersonal or objective, as universal, as significant, as beneficial, as meaningful. That was the dialectic that we were having, right? Is understanding real, or is everything just a matter of opinion? Now, we did mention that we were going to read that, we might read that book next, which is about that very idea. But this is the thing. If you don't think there is any understanding, everything is all relative, that's the seventh hypothesis. The most common and the most common of our current age, but most dangerous worldview to have. It opposes the dialectic, the very thing you're here to master. If he doesn't accept the existence of understanding, how could he even get into the second oxherding picture? Read. We're reading about understanding, to understand the answer of these questions and to reach them. If understanding isn't real, what the point is philosophy? Like he said, just get it. So read it. There's a million books of poetry and people's opinions. That's good enough for him. How will he ever solve his problems? Can't. How do you solve problems? Understanding. How will he ever awaken to his spiritual quest? What's that? The way of the Logos. What's that? Understanding. So, it was a good question to have and a significant dialectic to have, but we demonstrated the stages in one person, which was amazing. Pretty cool, hey? In one conversation, we demonstrated in a personal form the very map of what it takes for someone to even begin the quest. Which is lacking in Buddhism. So one of the reasons we could say this is the greatest book ever is it gives us this thing. So it gave us the map of our spiritual development that we are applying to the oxherding pictures to understand an individual's spiritual stages of enlightenment. So we're adding the logos to the oxherding pictures, but we're also adding the levels of interpretation. So the oxherding pictures are good in describing the stages we go through, but it doesn't have the difficulties it is for a person to get into any one of the stages. And when being introduced to the next stage, they will go through those objections, those interpretations, all 5 of them. So we need to add not just the logos to the oxherding pictures, as our friend in chat demonstrated, we need to add the interpreters. Everything from this text, all that stuff about Sneesius and Fici and Ficini and Mark and Paul and all of these, the Gnostics, the Gnostic John and Thomas and the other guy, I can't remember his name. The difference between Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates, all that stuff, was so that we would end up with this map. So even though we were engaged in a reflection on the oxherding pictures, which is a literal map of the spiritual stage, the stages of spiritual enlightenment, it wasn't enough. What did Parmenides say to Socrates? You won't reach truth without the dialectic, which we also heard Socrates say, and we read that today. But you also have to be on guard for the worst condition of man, to think that there is we can't know the nature of reality. If you think you can't know the nature of reality, then you could be talking to the greatest dialectician in the world who demonstrates it perfectly, but it won't change you. You need the dialectic and to be on guard for not thinking that knowing is real. What did we see today? Same but different. Like it. We saw that you could be talking to someone who is literally going through the stages of enlightenment that you could absolutely benefit from. Someone who not only is doing that, but has just finished building a map of the cognitive stages that you go through from philosophy. Not just that, as someone interested in evidence and reason, and the history of philosophy, can demonstrate the history of philosophy through the lineage of philosophers. So even talking to the absolutely most appropriate person, it didn't affect him. Why? Not like Parmenides says, he doesn't think things are knowable. He doesn't think understanding is real. An even worse condition. So we could see, using our map of the different classes of human pathologos, to oppose there being, to say you can't know reality, actually fits into the 6th hypothesis. What did we say? Even worse and more common than that is the 7th. Therefore, we can be like Parmenides and say, hey, you won't reach your goals unless you master the dialectic, which is what Parmenides says, but also you have to be on guard for one of the worst conditions of man, if not the worst, to think that understanding isn't real or you can't participate in it. Otherwise, you'd be talking to the best dialectician on earth. It wouldn't make a difference. So we demonstrated that. Now, which means we can take these 5 stages of interpretation and add them to the oxherding pictures, because every one of them is a new level of truth. Number 1, there is no understanding or knowing or self. Number 2, maybe some understanding, I'm not sure. Number 3, a glimpse of knowing. They're all different. Every one of them can be a challenge. In fact, that principle of facing challenges is the entirety of the second stage of enlightenment, catching the bull. So they would fit, these levels of interpretation would fit within each of them. So it's not just a matter of recognizing where the student's at, but recognizing what it takes to go through to the next one. Something that a Buddhist might not be able to do. Why? Because he doesn't have those levels of interpretation? Yes, but one more thing. What did we say was the block? Even though he went from 5, 4, 3 to the second level of interpretation, he was still able to leave, and he wanted to leave because even in the second, you could still keep your beliefs that he loves so much, that he thinks is better than understanding. Until maybe this conversation where we talked about breaking his arm. How do we remove our beliefs? What does the Oracle tell us every day?
People don't logic their way into stupid positions. They stupid their way into stupid positions.
Which means they can't logic their way out, right?
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that
They didn't reason themselves into.
He didn't reason himself into his false beliefs. He stupided his way in, as the Oracle says.
the T-virus will transform me into an epic creation.
Well, see, you say something wise, and then you guys talking about being an epic creation. And you ruined it.
It's sad. And I'm sad for you.
For me?
Dead-eyed, and I don't use this kind of terminology.
Please end kink shaming on your show.
No one's kink shaming.
Hey, you can't say that to her. You show her some respect.
I will respect you, Emma. How then, if...
The problem is that you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves in.
So, if you can go through each of these through potentially a dialectic, which is possible in principle, we just demonstrated it. What is the... Remember, we can expand the 5 to include the objections, just as we expand the 5 cognitive functions to include the objections, the pathologos. You can't go from second level of interpretation to the first, accepting the new logos and sacrificing the old pathologos, unless you deal with your pathologos that you didn't reason yourself into. The pathologos is the 10th, loyal to the unsuspected fundamental false beliefs about self. Before you can enter any one of these ox-herding pictures beyond the first 2, or even from 1 to 2 if he's objecting to understanding itself, how can he read the sutras or listen to the teachings? You have to go from the second to the first level of interpretation, address your pathologos. How do you do that? Midwifery. Actually, hang on a second. To do midwifery, you call your dialectician or send them a FaceTime message or a Discord message and say, hey, I've recognized a problem as I've been seeking a meaningful goal with excellence. And I've recognized I can't do anything to solve it. And I've tried everything I know. And I really want to solve it. And I recognize it's not a one-off thing, it's a reoccurring pattern. I think I'm ready for a midwife talk. But notice, you have to have already recognized a problem. For someone blocked even to understanding, he doesn't think he's got a problem. So, in order to reach the next stage of enlightenment or ox-herding picture you're on, you necessarily have to go through these stages of interpretation to that first, to accept that new stage, which requires you to address the rejecter of that, your pathologos, and some kinds of problems you won't recognize as a problem. Therefore, you need someone that is telling you to pay attention to the problem. That's called your dream maker. Have we seen why Socrates all the way through this book is saying the standard for philosophical excellence, the standard for the new Hellenic age? What makes some philosophers better than others is those who have integrated into their philosophical practice dream analysis. We've just demonstrated it's absolutely necessary for our friend in chat to pay attention to his dreams. He said sometime, but let's, whatever he wants. To pay attention to his dreams, which will give him messages about that which he didn't reason himself into, so he can't reason himself out of. But you can reason about the messages from your dreams to gain the information, to mine the gold, to solve the problem that blocked him from accepting the new logos, which was for him accepting that understanding is real and valuable. Therefore, we need to go back to these ox-herding pictures that we've been nailing down with understanding, not just taking it figuratively. Add the 5 stages of interpretation between them, and also add necessarily for each one of those stages, you have to be participating in dream analysis. Necessarily to go from second interpretation to first. In the book, Socrates has been really pointing to the significance of dreams all the way through. And next time we can maybe do a word search for dreams and look at all those passages and weave it together. And then he said, hey, you have to do a sequel. Jesus and Socrates are dream talk. But before that, Socrates and Buddha are talk in heaven. Giving us what we need to turn the truth of the stages of development from the hypotheses of Parmenides into the humanness of what it means to go through it as a person. And in doing so, in doing what Socrates instructed us to do, just as we follow what our dream master, or follow what does Socrates say? I go where reason bids me. I follow the logos. In doing that, and listening to the logos of the person as he came in, practicing what we've been doing, not only are we adding the logos to the ox-herding pictures to make it the human enlightenment quest, we have seen that we have to also add the interpretation stages and dream analysis in principle. So between every ox-herding step, these 5 classes of interpretation we can anticipate, and between every ox-herding step, dream analysis. Bringing the height of philosophy or the Hellenic tradition, dream analysis. Adding the contribution from this master, the author of the book, the levels of interpretation that he's been given us all the way through. So the height of philosophy, the contribution from this philosophical master, the author that we're reading, and the height of Eastern spirituality, the most intelligible map of stages of enlightenment. We've brought them all together and seen the significance of dreams necessarily in the enlightenment quest of man.
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
We are definitely getting into Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, very handsome and or pretty.
Also true, maybe. So, bringing philosophy, the contributions of this latest philosopher Pierre Grimes of interpretation. So philosophy, interpretation, and dream analysis together with the oxherding pictures or stages of man's spiritual development, and seeing for ourselves in real time, not just in definition or principle, but in demonstration. You need both, definition and demonstration. The significance and the role of dreams. The role of dreams in man's enlightenment journey between each stage. Pretty good? A lot of fun? JP levels of whimsy? What do you say?
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
Exactly. I hope you're having some fun and whimsy. And hey, I hope you have some interesting dreams tonight. And I will see you in the next one.